Atherton, and I am a registered nutritionist with Osku Nutrition. A very warm welcome to those who are watching live right now, and also hi to those who are watching later on in catch-up. So what I'm here to do, just a bit of a reminder, for 15 minutes each week is to help you improve your health at home, to help you increase your energy, help you feel good, and also if you need to, lose a few pounds. Now, if you do have any questions as we go, please do just drop them in the comments box below, and I will answer them either in the session or afterwards. And if you are watching on catch up, please do also post any questions. I'll answer them in the comments, or I will message you directly. So this week, week 2, we are focusing on eating more plants and why food variety really is the spice of life. There is a lot of conflicting advice on the best way to eat, but one thing that almost everyone agrees on is that eating more plants is good for you. Now, you don't have to go full-on vegan to eat more plants, but if you do, fantastic. What I mean by plants, I don't just mean standard fruit and vegetables. I mean nuts, seeds, pulses like beans, grains, herbs and spices. They all come from plants, as do tea and coffee, but I'm not going to be suggesting for anyone to increase their tea and coffee consumption. So eating more plants really does have many benefits, and there are plenty of room. There's plenty of room for variety based on what you actually like, but also what you can afford. So no doubt you've all heard the phrase, variety is the spice of life. Now, it is more than just a saying. Apply this saying to the foods that you normally eat. And research shows that those people who have more variety within key food groups have better health and well-being, and they also live longer. So how does eating more plants actually affect your health? Now, plant foods are an abundant source of vitamins and minerals, including and also dietary fibre, and might surprise you, but also protein. They are rich also in polyphenols, which are the thousands of biologically active molecules that feed your gut bacteria, your microbiome, and they benefit your health in so many different ways. Now, although it is difficult to determine cause and effect when it comes to food and disease, what we do know is that people who eat more plants in their diet tend to have lower risk of diseases, and that includes high blood pressure and type 2 diabetes. And research has shown that those who eat a heavily plant-based diet also have a consistently lower risk of death due to heart disease compared to those who eat sugar and processed foods. Now, if that isn't enough reason for you guys to eat more plants, I will give you 5 more. Firstly, they are anti-inflammatory. Now, you may have heard, you may have read that inflammation is now being tied to almost every single chronic disease there is, from digestive issues to arthritis to cancer and to heart disease. Now, anti-inflammatory foods, what they do, they stop the progression of the disease by supplying nutrients that fight free radical damage. Just think, when it comes to fruit and veg, all the colours of the rainbow, as many as you possibly can. Now, these all contain antioxidants, phytonutrients such as flavonoids, resveratrol, quercetin. Quercetin in particular, high in these onions, beta-carotene as well, and so much more. They've got all the essential vitamins A, C and E. They've got trace minerals, and they also have electrolytes, which for those of you who are doing a lot of exercise in lockdown, it's essential for you to replace if you're doing lots of sports. They also contain essential fatty acids. Now, so many studies have shown that anti-inflammatory foods promote longevity, they regulate the immune system, which is absolutely critical right now, and they impact the way inflammation affects your body and our lives in general. Now, plant foods can help foster better gut health. They reduce autoimmune reactions that can cause a cascade of health-related diseases. Hi Emma, thanks for joining. A second reason for eating more plant foods is that they are so high in fibre. So plants such as vegetables, seeds, ancient grains, which are things like the fabulous quinoa, which I love, and legumes such as beans, they are high fibre foods, and they are really capable of lowering your risk for digestive problems, high cholesterol, heart disease, and diabetes. And what fibre also does, as well as doing all those awesome things, they help you prevent cravings and help you stop overeating. They keep your arteries clear from plaque, and they allow the healthy probiotic, the good bacteria, thrive in your gut. Now, some of the top high fibre foods that you can include in your diet. Now, as a general rule of thumb, the darker the colour of the fruit or veg, the higher the fibre content. Now, it may surprise you that actually avocados are really high in fibre, as are apples. Things like linseeds and flax seeds are also high, but also oats. Oats are great, and they're a great prebiotic for your gut. And things like cabbage as well, and artichokes. Now, thirdly, a third great reason for you to eat more plants is that they can help you lose weight, and once you've lost the weight, they can help you maintain a good weight. There was a 2013 really interesting piece of research published in the European Journal for Clinical Nutrition, and it found that an 18-week dietary intervention using a low-fat, plant-based diet helped improve body weight, helped improve plasma lipid levels, that's the fat circulating in your blood, and it helped with glycemic control, and that means balancing your blood sugar and therefore your energy levels. Fourth reason to eat more plants is that it actually lowers your risk of chronic diseases. Now, in the nutrition world, there's a famous Lion Diet heart study, and what that did, that found that a Mediterranean style, mostly plant-based diet could cut heart attacks and death rates due to heart disease by 70%. Compared to the traditional American diet, which, to be honest, I think most Brits have adopted over the years. So the plant foods that are commonly eaten in the healthiest parts of the world are things like leafy green veggies, fresh herbs and spices, nuts and seeds, things like cashew nuts as well, ancient grains like quinoa, olive oil, beans, and also sweet potatoes. Now, fifth reason to eat more plant foods is not only do plant foods actually have a benefit for your waistline and your overall health, it's also good for the planet. Eating foods that take less natural resources to produce has a lower carbon footprint, it spares the lives of livestock, and it reduces food scarcity globally. Of course, we're talking about things, about buying food locally and eating seasonally. And now while we're still in April, things that are in season are things like rocket, cabbage, spring greens. We're coming into May, and that's when peppers and spring onions and asparagus are coming into season. So if everyone just cut back on their intake of animal foods in favour of eating more plants, it could have far-reaching positive effects. Now, one of the things I do get asked a lot in clinics is how much plant food, how much fruit and veg should I actually eat? And for me, when it comes to plant food, as much as you can. The NHS guidance is 5 portions of fruit and veg a day. But as a nutritionist, and again, looking at all the research behind it, I truly believe that 8 to 10 portions of fruit and veg a day or plant foods is best to stay healthy for longer. And only 2 of those should be fruit to enable your blood sugar and your energy levels to become stable. Now, what does that look like? How much is a portion? Generally around 80 grams, and that is essentially 3 heaped tablespoons of something like spinach or peas. But don't forget, frozen and tinned fruit and veg also count towards your 8 to 10 a day. So a lot of people do think it's quite difficult to include as much plant food as possible. But what I am going to do, I'll give you 10 ways to get more plants into your diet. I mean, and it's not as difficult as you think it might be, because especially if you expand your idea on what actually counts as plant-based foods, and if you expand it to include spices, herbs, nuts and seeds, it's actually quite achievable. What I will do in the comments of this video, I will post a veggie chili recipe, which is absolutely packed full of veg and it tastes amazing. So my 10 favourite ways to dish up a bit of diversity into your diet is, firstly, bulk up with beans. Just make your meals go further and switch half or all of the meat you'd normally use to prepare meals like stews or curries and bolognese with plant-based proteins such as tins of mixed beans, lentils. Lentils especially, I have an absolute vat here. Also, chickpeas are great at adding into your diet, especially into things like curries or stews. They're so easy and they do bulk it out. And then just add things like tinned tomatoes, herbs and spices for extra flavour and even more diversity. Secondly, to try and get more plant food into your diet, try a meat-free Monday. I know some of you out there have already tried it. Some of you have continued it, but it is a really, really good way of prioritising plant-based foods at least once a week. Now, if you're stuck for ideas, just follow some of the great plant-based bloggers out there like Deliciously Ella for some recipe inspiration. Now, thirdly, fruit is dessert. Fruit, it can be delicious dessert, and it definitely doesn't need to be boring. If you eat fruit that's in season, it tastes so much sweeter than any other time of year. Just poach, bake, grill, or just chop loads of different fruits and top them with yogurt, nuts, seeds and spices to make things a bit more interesting. Fourth tip, plan ahead. Cook up extra roasted vegetables, vegetable-based stews at the weekend. Put them in your fridge or freezer and you can just use them throughout the week. And cooking in bulk, which I do a huge amount of, my freezer is packed. It can save you both time and money when you're specifically busy, and it ensures that you've got plant-powered meals ready to go whenever you need it. And like I said before, frozen fruit and veg is your friend. They are just as nutritious as their fresh alternatives. And that is because they are frozen within hours of picking, and that seals in the nutrients that are normally lost when they're transported from field to supermarket. Canned fruits, vegetables, lentils and beans are also great options. They've got a long shelf life. And they're also really handy just to whip up a really quick meal. A sixth tip is to just mix it up. The key to a healthy plant-based diet is diversity, not just eating the same few vegetables on repeat. And keep a seasonal food calendar on your fridge and try and include one new fruit or veg in your diet each week. And say goodbye to boring salads. Forget tasteless iceberg or watery tomatoes and think about how to include all the colours of the rainbow into your salads. More colour in your salads generally means more of those healthy polyphenols I spoke about earlier, and incorporate things like texture and crunch with toasted nuts and seeds, and experiment with different ways of prepping your veg, things like spiralising or grating, and use fresh herbs for extra flavour. Now, hidden greens is number 8. The great thing about green leafy veg, such as kale, spinach, Swiss chard or cabbage, is they shrink. When you can chop them finely, you can fold them into cooked dishes, they will wilt down into hardly anything, and they really do push up the plant power of any dish in a flash without being too obvious. So they are perfect for picky kids or adults who aren't that keen on a big plate of solo greens. Number 9, make the most of dips and spreads. So you can create a really easy hummus, combine chickpeas and tahini with some olive oil, a bit of garlic, and if you want some herbs. It's easy, it's cheap to make, and it can be used as an addition to salad, as a dip, or as a substitute for mayonnaise. My final tip, my 10th tip, is just try half and half. So instead of just cooking up your regular helping of sweet potatoes, increase your diversity in your diet by switching out half of them with other root vegetables such as carrots, celeriac, sweet potatoes, butternut squash, and they are delicious, roasted, crushed, or mashed. So a little bit of reflection, have a bit of reflection. How varied is your diet? How many different types of food do you actually eat a week? Now, in Japan, officials absolutely love numbers. An advice issued in 1985, probably before some of you guys were born, was to eat 30 different foods daily. Now, if you would like to see how varied your diet is, then why not try the 50 food challenge? I've been testing this out with my own family and some of my clients, and I've had some really good feedback. Most people do find that the first few days are really easy, but by the end of the week, there is that added incentive to just buy a different vegetable or add a different spice to meals in order to hit that 50 food target. So what I've done, I've created an easy to complete form to stick on your fridge. Give it a go this week. Get the family involved and let me know how you get on. I hope you guys have a healthy week, and I will see you same time next week.